What would you do if you woke up one morning and realized the entire 11 years of your life was just an elaborately staged lie? I'm Laura Bennett, 38 years old, from the Chicago suburbs, and on a Tuesday afternoon so ordinary it was terrifying, my world collapsed. It didn't happen with a bang, just a single number. 0. Mrs. Bennett, your joint savings account balance is currently $0. The bank teller's voice sounded like a death sentence. $200,000, the kids' college fund, our retirement, a decade's worth of blood, sweat, and tears, gone in 3 weeks. My husband, Mark Bennett, the most textbook accountant I ever knew, a man who checked every supermarket receipt down to the penny, had drained it all. But if you think this is just another typical story about an affair or a gambling addiction, you are dead wrong. The truth behind that number is far more sickening, more twisted, and much more insane. It involves a mysterious organization called Helios, an odorless addiction, and a twist that even I, the woman who slept beside him every night for 11 years, could never have seen coming. I still remember that afternoon vividly, a Tuesday afternoon so ordinary, it was haunting. I was sitting in the kitchen, holding a cup of cold coffee, opening my laptop to check our accounts as I always did. I thought I was seeing things. I refreshed the page, then I refreshed it again, but the number didn't change. $0. I called the bank, hoping it was a system error, some stupid glitch. But the woman on the other end didn't hesitate. Mrs. Bennett, your joint account balance is currently $0. Her voice was flat and cold, like she was reading an execution order. I asked again, what about the $200,000? A brief silence. It was withdrawn in its entirety over the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And I had no idea. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, feeling like something inside me had just died. If you met Mark, you'd never think he was capable of this. Mark is what people call a safe man. He's an accountant. The kind of guy who checks grocery receipts cent by cent and mows the lawn every Saturday morning like a machine. We had the suburban Chicago house, the golden retriever, and 2 kids. A life that was perfectly boring. I thought I was lucky. I thought I had a responsible man. Now I understand. I had confused control with honesty. The signs had been there for a long time. Mark started changing, not suddenly, but bit by bit. He stayed up later. First it was 11 p.m., then 1 a.m., then 3 a.m. I once woke up at 2:17 a.m. and saw the blue light from his laptop reflecting off his face. He didn't blink. He didn't move. He just stared at the screen, like he was hypnotized. One time, I pretended to be asleep. I heard his phone vibrate. He stepped out onto the balcony, his voice low, urgent, and strained. When I opened the door, he hung up immediately. "Just work," he said. At the time, I thought he was having an affair. I checked his phone. No messages, no photos, no trace. I felt relieved. Looking back now, I was such a fool. The night I discovered the account was empty, I didn't make a scene. I didn't want to give him a chance to lie. I wanted to look him in the eye while he tried. When Mark walked in, I was already waiting. "Where's the $200,000? I asked. No beating around the bush, no emotion, just the truth. He stood there, frozen. I had never seen Mark lose control like that. He swallowed hard. "I invested it." "In what?" "Helios Tech, green energy, a startup. I thought I could triple the money." I looked at him for a long time, then asked a question I still remember. "Did you think? Or did you need to?" That night, I didn't sleep. I searched for Helios Tech. Nothing. No website. No records. It didn't exist. I started to feel that this wasn't just a stupid investment mistake. Something bigger was happening. The next day, I drove to the transaction address, an old, abandoned industrial park. Yet the parking lot was full of luxury cars. No signs, no logos, just a building so quiet it made my skin crawl. I walked inside. A woman looked at me, her eyes showing no surprise, as if she had been expecting me. I said Mark's name. She nodded. "He is currently in the purification stage," she said. "Purifying what?" She smiled. "The things he cannot control, and you are not permitted to see him." That night, I opened Mark's laptop. That's when everything began to unravel. I found a file titled If I fail, open this. When I opened it, I wished I hadn't. It wasn't a document. It was a video. Mark sat before the camera, looking like a man I didn't know, exhausted, terrified, and desperate. "Laura, if you're watching this, it means I've failed," he said slowly. I opened the financial folders. Every file, every transaction, every loss. $10,000. $25,000. $60,000. $100,000. I scrolled down, breathless, until I saw the total, -$400,000. Mark wasn't who I thought he was. He wasn't just an accountant. He was an addict. Not to alcohol or drugs, but to options trading. I found account histories with hundreds of orders. All in, loss, all in again, another loss. But then there were the wins, big wins. $30,000, $80,000, $150,000. That was what kept him from stopping. Then I found the truth about Helios. It wasn't an investment firm or a scam. It was an organization for people like Mark, trading addicts who couldn't stop themselves. Their method was simple. You transfer all remaining assets to them. They hold it for 10 years. No withdrawals, no access, no exceptions. Mark had signed it voluntarily. I found an email he sent to them titled, "I am out of control." It read, "If I still have money, I will destroy everything. Please, take it away from me." But then I found the final document. It was a loan for $200,000 in my name. The signature wasn't mine. Mark had forged it. He hadn't just taken our savings, he had pushed me into debt. When he walked in that evening, I put the paper in front of him. "What is this?" For the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. "I was going to tell you." "Don't," I interrupted. "You took the money. You lied. But this is a crime. Crime." He sat down, hands shaking, and said something I'll never forget. I had no choice. He confessed everything. He had lost $400,000 savings, loans, credit cards. He was drowning. The banks were calling. Pressure, debt, threats. He found Helios, but they only accept those who can prove they have truly lost control. So he did the only thing he could. He forged my signature to borrow $200,000, not to spend it, but to hand it over to Helios. "You destroyed my life? To save yourself?" I asked in disbelief. "No," his voice broke. "To save us. I knew if I still had access to that money, I would lose everything. The house, our entire future. I chose to lose everything once, rather than losing it piece by piece forever. I don't know what to feel. Anger? Yes. Betrayal? Absolutely. But a haunting question keeps me awake. If he hadn't done it, would we really have lost it all? Now, we have $200,000, but we can't touch it for 10 years. We have a house on the brink of foreclosure, and a marriage with zero trust. Mark goes to therapy every single day. I look at the divorce papers every day. I haven't signed them yet, because I don't know if I'm living with a traitor or a man who did the absolute worst thing for the right reason. If it were you, would you call that love or selfishness? Would you stay or would you leave? The silence in our house was no longer boring. It was heavy, like the air before a massive storm. Mark had traded our present for a theoretical future, but the bank didn't care about 10-year recovery programs. They cared about the $200,000 loan with my forged signature. I sat in a glass-walled office downtown, the Chicago skyline looking jagged and cold. My lawyer, Sarah, tapped a pen against the loan document Mark had faked. The legal reality. Because the signature was forged, I could report it as identity theft. The consequence. Reporting it would likely mean criminal charges for Mark prison time. The debt. If I didn't report it, I was legally responsible for a debt I never agreed to. I picked up a pen. The weight of 11 years of marriage, the Chicago house, the kids' college dreams, and the man I thought I knew balanced on the tip. The police report. Signing this would prove I didn't authorize the $200,000 loan, clearing my name but sending the father of my children to prison. The divorce papers. Signing these would end the marriage that was already stripped of all trust. Mark looked at me, the fear in his eyes now replaced by a hollow resignation. "If you sign the report, the Helios money stays locked for 10 years anyway. But at least you'll be free of me." I looked at him, a man currently in therapy, a man who had purified himself by burning down our lives. I realized then that I wasn't just deciding his fate, I was deciding if I could ever live with the right reason behind his worst deed.